Alright, here we go with the jig head CDC pheasant tail. Great fly, super productive. We're going to start with a size 14 Umpqua XT500 60-degree jig hook and a 2.8 millimeter slotted bead. I'm going to go ahead and wrap some 0.02 lead wire, about 6 or 7 wraps. For our thread, we're going to use UTC 70 Ultra thread in red. Go ahead and start your thread behind your lead wire, and then we're going to go ahead and cover up that wire. Sometimes it can be a little tricky, and that end will sort of unravel. You just go ahead and keep wrapping, and then you can just break it off with your nail. Stuff's pretty brittle and soft. Okay, we're gonna wrap back to about the bend. We're gonna add our first piece of pheasant tail. I usually grab, I don't know, 5 pieces towards the bottom of the feather. The fibers are shorter down there, and we really just need a smaller bit for the tail. When we tie those on, we want it to be about the hook gap. And as we tie those on, I like to try and lift them upward, so they upward and towards me just a little bit. Otherwise, as you wrap, the fibers will tend to sort of roll away from you, so you can compensate by angling them towards you just a little bit. Next, we are going to add in some medium gold or copper wire. And we want to tie that in onto the side. Then we're going to grab a couple pieces or one piece of Flashaboo. And if we fold it in half, we'll get a little more bang for the buck. And we want to tie this down just right on top of that hook shank. So I like to lift it up as I tie back. And we'll just go right back to the bend in the hook. And next we're going to add some of our pheasant tail. I like to find or get some longer pieces. I usually try to clip about 6 or so. And we're going to tie those in tip first. Okay, we'll tie those in and wrap them back. Okay, throw a half hitch. And now when we wrap our pheasant tail, you always want to remember which way you wrap. I always wrap my first, or my body, try to wrap it the same way that I wrap the thread. Because when we wrap for the gold wire, we're going to opposite counter wrap. So we're just going to bring it up. We want to leave a little bit of room for the thorax. Just go ahead and trap the pheasant tail fibers. Chop off the rest. Okay, next thing we want to do is add our Flashaboo, the flashback. So we're gonna just bring that right across the back of the fly, wrap it up to the front, trap it in there, and we're gonna keep that piece, so don't cut it off. Now we counter wrap our gold or copper wire. Just try to keep it nice and even. 3 or 4 wraps up to the top, and then we're gonna go ahead and trap that. We're gonna wrap the flash boot back. Now we need to do make the thorax. We're gonna use peacock herl. You can use 1 or 2 pieces. Let's go ahead and tie that in. Oh, broke one. Pretty soft stuff. So just use one. Just wrap it up to the bead. Okay, trap that. Can cut off the remainder. Now we're going to take that Flashaboo and bring it over top of the thorax. Just tie it in once or twice, do a couple wraps behind, and then pull it back. You can go ahead and chop the rest of that. And last, all we're going to do is add the CDC. This is a natural dun color, and what I like to do is very, very carefully pull back the fibers and just leave a few right along the tip there. Some people like to do a dubbing loop with these. I find it easier to do it this way. Just be really light with your touch. So I just do a couple wraps. Go ahead and grab the bottom of the stem with some hackle pliers. Now we want to be very careful with this as we sort of stroke these fibers back, and we're just going to do a few turns in between the peacock and the bead. Just make sure as you bring it around, continue to stroke those fibers back. Be very light with your touch. Once you get a couple times around, go ahead and trap that. You can go ahead and cut off that remainder. And what I'll do here is I'll just pull all these fibers back. You can wet your fingers. Just have a very soft touch with these or you'll break the fibers. Just do a few wraps to clean it up. Go ahead and throw in a whip finish. Three or four turn. Pull that tight. Then we'll add just a little bit of UV resin after we clean it up. Just a touch, you don't need very much at all. Hit it with the torch. And those CDC fibers are a little bit long for my liking. I think they should be just about as long as the body, so I'm going to go ahead and clean it up, shorten them up just a little bit. You don't need to give it too much of a haircut, but just a little bit. Super productive pattern. You can fish it all year round under a dry fly or under a bobber. Make sure if you enjoyed this video to subscribe to the channel. If you hit the bell notification, they will tell you when we come out with new videos. We post weekly videos on fly fishing instruction, fly tying. We sell hats. We like to drink beer, have a good time, and pretty much fish as much as we can. We'll see you next time.